You're listening to Moment of Truth, a weekly challenge from the front lines of faith, as heard on Courageous Christianity with Richard Mendelow, a radio show and podcast about real faith for the real world.
Today our Moment of Truth comes from Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1, which says, "Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." As I said earlier, if there's one thing we can take away from this series on real faith for the real world, it's that real faith takes courage, and courage is not merely believing the truth, it's living it despite perceived personal risk. The world did not want Jesus, and it will not want us. It doesn't want us at work. It doesn't want us in our children's education. It doesn't want us at the voting booth, and it doesn't want us in community settings. What's hard to grasp in this day and age, which places so much emphasis on external validation and outside opinions, is that the world's feelings are not about us. They're about the way the truth of God and the light that we reflect exposes people's feelings about themselves and their sin. The truth matters, your faith matters, and your accountability in your faith matters. That's who you are. Don't worry about who they are or who they want you to be. As you've heard me say many times, their right to be them does not supersede your right to be you. With that said, allow me to remind you of a few things. First, you serve Jesus, not the mob. Second, he gave himself for you while you were yet a sinner. He knows you're not perfect. It doesn't come as a shock to him. Don't listen to people who tell you you're not perfect. You already know it. Just get to work. Third, we live in a Christian nation, and the law protects us from religious discrimination. It supports your right to pray, your right to abstain from certain activities, and your right to engage in protected activities. As such, just focus on following Jesus wherever he leads you. Christy and I read an interesting book recently called The Courage to be Disliked, and I've talked about it on previous shows. In one chapter, the book talks a lot about tasks. It says that each of us has tasks and that we should do our tasks faithfully. It also says that we should not try to do the tasks of others. It emphasized that interpersonal relationships suffer when we allow others to try and do our tasks or when we try to do their tasks. Your task is to follow Jesus. When you call yourself a Christian, it means that you are a follower of Christ. Learn what that means and focus on those tasks. And I have a good example of what this means to me. On Father's Day, after church, I watched the conclusion of the U.S. Open golf tournament. The tournament leader, Wyndham Clark, was not well liked by the crowds of Long Island, New York spectators. Some onlookers were actually thrown out of the venue for the loud and rude comments they directed at him. Despite their behavior, Clark didn't change the way he ran his race. He stayed focused, and he won the tournament for the second time in 4 years. He actually led from start to finish, which is something that rarely happens in golf. And what occurred to me is that sometimes even success doesn't silence the fools who themselves accomplish nothing. And I bring this up as an example of a man who focused on his tasks. He focused on his race, and he did not allow himself to be brought down by the great cloud of witnesses. He focused on his own conduct, one stroke at a time, one shot at a time, and he achieved golfing glory. In the same way, as followers of Jesus, when we focus on our race, one interaction at a time, one day at a time, we can show the world God's glory. Don't worry about the last shot. Focus on the next one. And don't worry about the crowds. God sees all, and He knows it's hard. Focus on Christ. Follow Him. When people try to distract you from your tasks, focus even more. When they criticize, remind yourself that their words and thoughts say more about them than they do about you. When you fall down, and you will, get back up quickly. We all fall down. And when the devil whispers that you're not enough, ignore him like you would a badly behaved spectator at a golf outing. You won't hit perfect shots every time. You won't win every tournament. But in the aggregate, over time, people will see your good deeds and glorify God for the change He has worked in you. And that's courageous Christianity.
This has been your Moment of Truth. To hear the full conversation, visit courageouschristianity.today/listen or search Courageous Christianity with Richard Mendelow wherever you get your podcasts.